Hello, welcome along to this craft workshop. It's a virtual workshop, so you can follow along with me on here. Let's get this straightened up a little bit. And today we're going to be making this beautiful spring box frame idea. So it's got no glass in it, so it is sort of gives it all chance to move. You could make it all smaller and put the glass back in. I quite like the interactive nature of this one, and plus you can change it up throughout the year and mix and match and put some different things in there. So let me just check I've got all the text set up so I can see what you're seeing. If you're following along live, do say hello in the comments. Let me know where you're watching. So this is part of the craft along, March Craft Along, which is hosted by me, Della. I run Della by Design, and I make handmade card making kits. Just going to check this is working because it hasn't come up on my other screen yet. I'll make sure it is all connected and you can hear me. If you are watching, please say hello in the comments so I know you can hear me. Good to have that reassurance. And just some housekeeping today is that I will be making this frame. we're going to make the flowers first, and then the doodles in the background may take longer than I've got time for today, but I do have a here's one I doodled earlier in case you have time. But I'll do the flowers first so that we can all do that together, and then the doodles will be done at a more leisurely pace. But I have the school run rapidly approaching this afternoon, and I just want to make sure that that is actually running. Definitely got movement on here, but not. Let me cancel out of that. Apologies. I might trim the front of this video off, but I'm not sure if it's actually recording. That's got me down as watching. Wonderful. Okay, I'm back. Okay, I'm not quite sure why it's just not linked up. It hasn't got me down as watching on the screen, but never mind. Fingers crossed this all stays. If not, I'll just make another frame, record another video. So let's get started, shall we? So this is part of the craft along, which means that actually I'm going to move this camera up a little bit. I think I got it down lower from this morning. So it's part of the craft along kit, which is sent out ahead of today. So there's been 3 virtual workshops today doing 3 different projects. So you can order a kit, and then inside that kit you have each workshop all wrapped up for you. So this is the final one. So in your kit you'll have the frame, which obviously is kind of wrapped in your parcel, and then you'll find a batch of stuff which is labelled up as the Tulip craft kit. So you can unwrap those, and that has all this stuff in it. And then at the back of your frame will be your green card. So first things first, you've got to unwrap all of this stuff. I'll walk you through that in a sec. And then to undo this, so I've already taken off these bits, but I was just going to show you a little hack I've discovered, because these things are merciless to pull back. So I've discovered if you just take a really bog standard boring pen, I had to put on back down just to show you. If you take the lid, obviously the pen's fine, but we do trash the lid quite a bit. Take the lid, and it has a really nice thin edge and tip, so that you can slide underneath there, and if you can wiggle it underneath, then you can use the leverage to actually pull it up without damaging your nails or just the skin of your fingers. But it does, it looks as if it's been chewed. I promise you it hasn't. It's just handy to attach these. So then we can take, once you've got them all open, I'd recommend, as you haven't got glass in it, I'd recommend just gently pushing from the front because there's no glass, and just push that out. And then in the advanced or in the beginner's kit, you will have you'll have a printed doodle background ready to go, and you can use that. And also in the advanced kit, you have this one which has the pencil lines of the grid to doodle on, but I've also included one of these as well in your advanced kit. So if you decide you want to do it a bit quicker and want to do the doodling, then you can use this and then potentially come back to doodling this another day, or just have it as a longer term project, or use it for something else. So I'm going to put those to one side because we're going to start with the flowers, and we'll come back to that. And just so that's the backboard. So if you are using your own frame, if you take your backboard out and then measure this and basically cut your paper or card for the background to match this, and then just slightly less because you need it to be within the square rather than over. But that's a good guide rather than trying to like measure it with a ruler on the frame and we're guessing what size you need. If you just take that out, it's nice and quick and easy, and then you know it matches there. So in your kit, that's the background, and then that is the little message. So we'll put that to one side as well. This is what we need to make the flowers. So let's start off with the actual tulip heads. So these are square pieces of paper. So the important thing about this is it's a thin paper. With card, it doesn't quite, it won't hold very well. So you need it quite thin. And what I've done is I've pre-scored it diagonally across both diagonals. So now I'm going to fold both of these. So this, for the larger one, is 2.5 by 2.5 inch square of paper. I always work in inches. Occasionally I'll switch, depends which is more convenient. And then what we're going to do is cut. So on the long side between the two folds, you want the midpoint, and you want to go about halfway. And although you don't need to be too accurate, what you want is the same length for the 4. So if you prefer to actually make a measure and actually mark it where you're going to cut to, you can do. I'm just going to do it by eye. Okay, and then these two are the smaller ones, and they're 2 by 2 inches. So I'm just going to do the same. Actually, let's cut them first and then I'll fold them. So again, just going sort of midway from each center point. Okay. Now what we want to do is encourage them to to fold into tulips. So I'm going to bend these forward slightly from the base, and then you want to curve one to the other. So I'm just going to do it without any glue on at the moment, just to get that paper folding in the right way. So what we're looking for, so when we get these two pieces here, we want to fold one over the other, slide it to overlaps, and we want to get it so that the the corner, so the bit that's sticking out here, reaches the fold on the other side, which generally means you get two sort of parallel lines going up, and you can see that's like one side of your tulip. I'm going to do that with all the sides. And once you're happy that the paper's not fighting against you, then we'll add some glue. So folding out flat with it curling up towards you, I'm going to add some glue onto. So just get close so you can see this. I think this pink card is not great for this. So the glue is here. So it's onto that, right up to that corner. And I'm going to do the same all the way around. And the same one. So I'm going to keep it the same side each time so that it's kind of a symmetrical effect. Go. And then we're going to fold, and this time stick. So if you've got more time, you can add some glue on the inside of that one as well. I'm going to rely on the outside. And just hold that around to glue. Whoop. That one's going to stick there. So it creates this kind of tulip head kind of box. So box one way and a box the other way, and square the other way. So that's that one. And then if you've got little, it depends on what glue you've used, whether you need to cure it. If you've got those little miniature sort of craft pegs, I think it's like a good point to have those stuck onto there. And then I'm going to add some more glue. It's quite well stuck, to be fair. We'll see how that goes, whether that glue's strong enough on its own. And then we'll do the other ones. So I need to fold these ones first. And then these ones, same thing, it's just on a slightly smaller scale. So you can experiment with different size ones of these. They're very fiddly. That's it, fold each one round. So you're looking for that corner piece to reach the edge of the folded line, and then two parallel lines going forward, and that will give you that tulip shape. So now we've got that all sorted. I'm going to turn it over so it's the curving up, and I'm going to add the glue on each side, on one side of the cut. Whee. Glue's stringy today. That's it, do all four. And then we're going to go through and fold them up. So landing with the corner onto the edge of the next crease. And then holding them down to stick. So you don't have to make these in pink. You can have a nice vibrant bouquet of tulips. Lots of different colour tulips. And if you're watching along live or in real time, then I am running a competition to win this DIY kit. And all you have to do is name your favourite tulip, but you need to enter on Facebook or Instagram. So if you just search Della by Design, you'll find me on there. So right, let's fold in these, and then I'm just going to encourage these ones first. I think when I was making that one, I got a bit more confident. I just glued them straight off and then folded them, but I'm just going to pre-fold them all this time. Make sure they're all lined up, and then again put it down so it's curled up, and then add the glue to each one. Right, do that across. There we go. That beautiful tulip shape. They're really sturdy as well. They're lovely. So next, let's work on the stems. So a little preparation for these stems. So this is what you get in the kit. So it's a long strip of green card, all rolled. So it's hopefully going to give us sort of the we're not fighting against not fighting against its nature. So it's already wants to be curled and wants to be a stem, but that is too much at the moment. So what we're going to do is going to roll it out. We're going to make 3 stems out of this, which I might have been quite generous actually. I think there's more than we need. So I'm going to want it to roll over maybe twice, 3 times. So just do it actually because it's quite big still. So I'm just going to do it like 1.5 times there, and then I'm going to cut across. Okay, and then we'll use this to make our first one. So then this one we can roll a lot tighter. Now, I wouldn't worry about keeping a perfectly smooth crease free because it's a natural it's a natural stem. I always get a little bit crooked and battered, so I'll have to roll it really tightly, but it helps having it pre-rolled, so it wants to it wants to go. And I'm going to roll it up until we get to the end. This does remind me of my rolling cigarette stains. I'm going to add some glue along that open edge, and then keeping it tight, I'm going to roll onto the glue, and then at last it will fold over or hold that in place. There we go. And if you've not managed to get the glue right to the edge, then you can either put some wet glue on there and then pin it down with some pegs, or carefully sort of trim any excess off. But that looks good. So we need to do that 2 more times. These are all the same length, but we will cut them down to make them right for what we need. So let me just sort of 1 times there. Okay. And then again, so that first bit is it's more like a fold just to get it started. And then you should be able to roll. Okay, and then when you get to that bit where there's a little gap, I let go. So I'm just going to tighten that up again. And then the last one is a little bit. Yeah, let's use all of that. And then rolling it. Oh, too far. And then glue down the edge. Clean the glue off. Yeah, half that is why we have it there, but I'll clean that off. So that's our 3 stems. And then in your kits, you'll have these 6 pieces. I've got 2 slightly longer ones for the larger ones, and then 4 smaller ones. So these are 2 inches wide if you're following on with your own bit. So it's got a crease down the middle, 2 inches wide. So you can fold them. And then once you've got them folded, we're just going to cut out a tulip leaf shape. So it's going to be bigger at one end. So come out and then go quite big. And then sort of taper off to the end there. And then we can always make it smaller if needed. But it gives that, because the thing about the tulip leaves, they wrap themselves around the stem from top to bottom. So we're going to cut out a few more of these. There's 2 on each side. So again, you can cut out a similar shape on this one. So start quite wide and then tape it in. And then what we do is we flip that over, and then that gives you that kind of shape, that kind of V shape for the leaves. And then the same for these ones. So these are slightly shorter for the smaller flowers, but similar idea. And if we find they're too big in certain places, then we can fold them and trim them again. Okay, let me get that away. Why is that? No, oh, that was close. Just happened to do a quick count up. So where we've got these, I'm just going to look at. So we're going to fold them like alternate. So one side, and the top. That makes sense. So interlocking them. And then I'm just going to see about how I want them to come together a bit tighter at the bottom. So I think for that to happen, I need to cut this one off a little bit, but that's not visible, so that's fine. Come off at a strange angle. And then a little bit off the back of this one. So you can play around with what works for you. And then I'm just going to take this bulbous one. It's just a little bit too. There we go. Once you're happy with that. So if you move one up, one down, you lose the base, which works quite well. So that gives you a nice little pocket for the where the stem's going to go. I'm going to leave that one there. Do the same with these ones. Again, just going to adjust that shape a little bit. Lovely. So if you wanted to just make this flat on a card, it actually makes quite a nice sort of 3D element to the card. And I've just lost. Still watching. Hopefully you can still hear me. And it's still broadcasting live. Yep, that's back. So yes, if you wanted to put that on the front of a card, it's kind of it's a subtle 3D, especially put some foam pads in the center there, and then you could have a flat flower on the top. But it's a nice little effect. And again, I made these all sort of too bulbous. I was also being quite generous with the amount of card I was aiming off. You can have quite thinner leaves. That's lovely. There we go. Right, let me clear up these little bits. Right, so I just noticed this little one has popped. So I'm going to take the opportunity to add a little bit of wet glue on there as well. So I'm just going to squirt some of this glue into the overlap section that we stuck down, and then use that. The tape we put on should be enough to hold that in place. Any others? The others look quite secure. That one I might add some glue. Just going to add some glue into the fold inside. So it doesn't matter if you can see this glue. It dries clear, and obviously it will be hidden away from view. Excellent. Right, now what I'm going to do is stick the back two back two leaves together, so that we're keeping that shape. Oh, can't get that lid on. So again, just make sure you've got it the right way round, how you want it, and then open up. Into there. Excellent. So we're just attaching the back two pieces together. Yeah, and that's got a little bit over the edge, so I'm just going to trim that down. So any little extra bits you don't need. Wonderful. And then we're going to attach the stems to the flowers next. So you need a pair of sharp scissors for this, but what we need to do is cut this top bit down in four places. So depending on how thickly you've rolled it. So you want go for one either side, and then one in the middle. So you can leave it like that, or if you want to make it look a little bit more natural, let me just come a little bit closer. Is it gonna focus? I'm gonna cut each sort of, so where you've cut the slit through, I'm gonna cut it into more like a triangle. So you've got like an end of a little leaf on the underside of the petals. Oh, I've hit the glue there. flying. It's like when you're cutting a real bunch of cut flowers. I always find you always get especially in a bunch, like a bouquet, you get the sort of foliage ones which have got like a real wooden style. And I'm trying to cut them in the kitchen, it goes pinging off across the room. Lots of bits. Right, so now I've got those sort of triangle shapes, and what we're going to do is bend each batch back, and that gives us a nice platform to stick onto the flower. So I'll do the same with these ones, and then I'll tidy up the mess. And okay. Fold them back. Yeah, go for this end. Let me find bits of this everywhere for a long time, I think. There we go. And then I've got a few bits stuck inside there, but I fold it back and hopefully they'll come out. I missed that one. There we go. Right, let me just sweep these all away. Line up that again. Okay, so there's still more. So let's add these on. So I'm going to use a wet glue for this one. I'm going to be quite generous. It doesn't matter which one's which, because I'm not fussed about there being a splodge of glue underneath the flower. And then I'm going to position this diagonally off, so not on the creases. So it's up to you. You can do it on the creases. I'm going to go for diagonally. And then push that down. And then I've got to hold this until this dries. And there's not really a way around this because it's very difficult to apply any pressure to it any other way. I will wait here. So, good chance to mention about craft along offers. So this is a special day, craft along. It's a day full of workshops online on YouTube. But at the same time, on my Facebook page and Instagram, I'm also running some special offers and some fun and games. And there's a competition over there at the moment. So what you can do is, if you want to enter the competition, just find the post and add your favourite coloured tulip onto there. While I'm just doing the other ones of these. So I'll repeat the same process. For your chance to win a DIY frame kit. So what I'm making today. So you can have this all arrive, all pre-cut, ready be assembled like I've done today. You can choose whether it's advanced or beginners, whether you want to have the doodle background or not. And let me stick this down and hold that. Oops. Trying to get the right pressure points. So there's that. There's also the card that we made this morning, the Tulips for You card. That is available as a box kit, which is a kit that makes 4 cards in different colours. And that is on sale this weekend. So if you're watching this in March 2023, then head along to my Etsy shop and you'll find that at a 20% discount to celebrate this weekend, which is good fun. And then also, if you are, what I've done this morning is release 2 kits. So the kits that are actually in one big box. Put 2 more of those on my website, so you can, or my Etsy shop, so you can buy those. But that's all I've got left because that's the only number of frames I've got left. And then you can re-watch the videos at your leisure. Or join us for the next craft along, which will be in May. So I'll have a craft along in May and in July. And then after that, a little break over the summer, and then we'll be back ready for Christmas. And the Christmas craft along is, as one of my customers, a highlight of my year. So I design all new cards for Christmas, and we have a week of craft along workshops. So you can have a full new set and join me for live workshops every day. Normally lunchtime. Haven't quite decided yet what it will be, but that'll be in October. There we go. Right, so I'm just going to leave those for a bit to make sure they are all dry. And then I think the best next step for assembling these is, let's take the big one. Basically, you want to glue, so the stem doesn't have to go to the bottom. So don't feel like you're limited to that. You can stick it higher up and fit it. So if you want to make it into an actual physical 3D bouquet, you can glue each side. I'd recommend putting foam pads on both sides of that to hold that all together, and glue every layer of leaf over, and then that will be done. But where we're making it in the frame, I think I'd like to actually position it all in the frame first before I start sticking these down. So I'm going to leave that stage there, and I'm going to move on to doing the background. And judging by the time, I'm not sure I have time to do all the doodles, so I might need to call in my trusty sidekick of his when I doodled earlier. But let's start, and we'll see where we get on. Let's start off by, I'm going to add the mount and the greeting together. So I'm just going to glue these on top of each other. Double-sided tape. And I'm going to stick that on top with a nice even border. Oh yeah, even border on each side. There we go. And then on the back of that, I'm going to add the foam pads, which I'm going to use tape. So it's always a bit more. You have got the roll of the tape. It's a bit quicker than the pads. Okay, I'm going to leave that with that backing on because we're not ready to stick that down yet. So I'll leave that there. And then for the cream panel in the background, I've added this like stitching around the edge. So that's with the doodle pens. I'm just going to grab one of these. I've got this to set all different sizes, all different thicknesses. So 0.2, that's my sort of go-to for most situations. So I'm going to add that onto here. Remove my hair from the hard mat. And I'm just going to confidently and quite quickly add a sort of straight line of dashes. You can practice this on other scrap paper, but it's a lot about confidence because is that a fluid movement rather than sort of stopping and starting. I'll do each side. And if you do go wrong somewhere, you can always turn it over and try again on the other side, or have a look at the positioning of all the bits and pieces on the frame, because if you can cover up the bit you're not happy with, quid's in. Good to go. So we've got that ready. And then, so this is the background. So I've already marked out on here. So this square in the middle is smaller than this one. So you don't need to worry about going up all the way up. If you doodle up to this line, then it will neatly cover over. Not going to get any gaps. So you don't need to do in the middle. And then around here, I've got the circles. So what we're going to do is each little subsection that these circle shapes create, we're going to add a different doodle in. So I'm going to bring this down a little bit so you can see. And yeah, there's a lot of doodles to choose from. You can make your own, make up your own, should I say? Or I have a lot of different doodles in my Doodle with Della course, or you can look at the ones we've got here for inspiration. So it can be as simple as just, I've got this on screen. It's just some lines. And then you can add some spirals. I like to start with a few smaller sections to sort of start building up the confidence before you start tackling the larger ones. So I go into a lot more detail about doodling and the techniques involved in my doodle classes. And I've got a lot more card designs that involve different levels of doodling. So a nice zigzag there, and I'm going to add some shading along one side of the zigzag. It doesn't have to be too neat. You kind of, once you've doodled everywhere, it all kind of blends in. What shall we do next? So I'm going to do one big spiral. So I'm just going to keep this spiral going. Every time I get to the end, I'll stop, then come back again. That. It's very relaxing. Once you get into the flow of doodling, I'm going to do some lines this way and this one as well. do some dots. I'm trying to sort of pick quite quick, easy fill ones. Because I would love to be able to get this done within the time, but I need to be realistic. So it's up to you whether you keep the pencil lines as they are. You can draw like I am drawing the shapes, the doodles within them, and then rub them out afterwards, or leave them in because they get a bit lost anyway. So you can actually draw over them with the black, which is another nice. So it makes the circles a bit more visible. Oh, it kind of feels like if I bring it closer to me, it seems to be I'm avoiding with them. Let's get this. You can see what I'm doing. Well, we did so in the workshop this morning we did the dots and S's one. Let me see if I've got a suitable shape. This shape here would be good. So it's done a grid of dots. Draw a line, keep them evenly spaced, and then draw another line. So it looks like you're sort of doing the dots of a square grid. And then keep going until you fill up the whole area, and then look to imagine where the dots would be. Like that. And then for each dot from top to bottom we're going to do an S shape. So we're going to go loop around the top and then down to the bottom. And we're going to do that with every dot from top to bottom. And this is where if you can start making the dots a bit bigger as you sort of I don't know what that is. That is the bit of glue that I did earlier. It's a bit of the green card stuck too early. Yeah. Right, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to extend that down off the page. Although I know this will be in the frame, you won't be able to see it, but it's a good principle to have. So I'm going to extend what that circle, that S shape would be coming off, and then I'm going to turn it around the other way, and again extend these down as if you're reaching to the next dot. That one kind of almost be there, wouldn't it? And then we're going to turn it around. What would be 90 degrees, 270. And we're going to do the same S shape, top to bottom, but we're now going in the opposite direction. But it's the same shape and this beautiful pattern appears like magic out of that simple shape. And it's the kind of doodle that other people look at and go, how on earth did you draw that? Until we know the basic steps, it looks so again, you want to kind of extend to the edge of the shape on each of them. And this one there. There we have it. Let me hit that doodle in there. So I'm gonna keep adding a few more. I think actually I'm not going to attempt to finish this. So I'm going to use the time to show you some nice doodles as opposed to like rushing through it. So let's have a look. So there's this one that I like. Let's find a nice space for it. So I've got on flower arches. So I'm going to do a line across. I'm going to leave quite a big space across a sort of slight arch. And there. And then on this line, I'm going to draw 2 lines. So I'm going to draw another line alongside it. And then on top of that line, I'm going to draw sort of like little scallop lumps, humps, all the way along. And then imagine, how that would pan out behind that one. And then I'm going to switch pen. I'm going to get a thinner pen for this. This is 0.1. Like this. And then from the base of each of these hills, I'm going to draw 3 little lines. And I'm kind of deliberately like spraying them out like little flower shoots, and I'm drawing them in such a way that I'm expecting the line to finish in a sort of spear, if that makes sense. So I'm sort of taking no pressure on the pen, just letting it go. And then back with this 0.2 at the end of each of those little spikes, I'm going to draw a little dot. And what comes out is a sort of almost sort of very natural looking little plants growing. There we go. And then I'm just going to imagine that there was one there and then here, just to give that. There we go. I'll do this one. It's a fun one. So not sure I've got a name for this one. It wasn't one I did in the course. This one appeared after. So I'm going to draw again sort of these arch lines, a bit closer together this time. This is a good space for this one. You can cover quite a large area. Okay, and then I'm going to draw a dot on the line any way you want. And And then the next one, it's a bit like a brick wall. So the next one, I'm going to do a dot either side of the one you've drawn, and then try and gauge where the next one would be, like an equal banding. And then on the next line, you draw one in the middle, and you carry on that alternating pattern. Remember to do the ones which are going to be right on the edge. Just give an indication of it. There we go. And a couple more. Oh yeah, let's do what I call a geode. So let's take this one here, so doesn't get covered up by the frame. So what we're going to do is we're going to start around the outside of the shape, and we're going to draw those sort of scallop lumps. You see that? Yeah. So this shape here. So we're going to go all the way around the outside of the shape. So we've got that kind of pattern there. And then the next stage is to draw from the peak of one to the peak of the next. We're going to draw another one. And you can rotate the paper around. It's easier to get a sense. If it gets a bit stretched, it's okay to have a little gap there. I find it really difficult doing time-lapse videos of doodling because it's so much more comfortable to turn it and to do the images. If it's time-lapse, then it's just going. You've got to keep the paper still. You have to tell what's going on. Right, so we keep going around. So you're going further and further in, but you're keeping that same logic of going from one peak to the next. They might start getting smaller. You might find little crunch points at the end where you're skipping over a couple at the same time. As it gets smaller, it gets that feeling of that going into the doodle. So if you're adding shading to this as well, then it's quite a good one to add shading sort of under the top layer. And it gets kind of closer and more intense until you fill the area completely. Get that sort of into the void. Down there. Okay, I think that's very good. So my eldest is due to walk in the door any moment. I have warned him that I'm potentially still going to be live. Just want to add a few more. Yeah. Look, I'm getting carried away now. Let's crack on. Otherwise I'll be rushing the next bit. So if you've got more time, you can add in all of these with different ideas. But we're going to do here's one I made earlier instead. So, and right, I'm going to lift this up again so that we can see. So we're going to stick this into the center. I'm going to get some glue onto the back. I'm just going to aim for an even. Difficult to tell with all the doodles, but trying to get an even frame around the edge. And then just going to position all these bits and pieces. And what I'm going to do, I'm just going to put it in the frame briefly, just so that I can make sure that the we don't have things going over the edge. So you can place that on the backboard with the thingy on the back. And then place that into there. So I haven't done, but it's always quite handy when you're taking a frame apart to keep the frame in the same rotation you had it, because there's always a slight shift in the wood. It's always easier one way than another. Right, but that is in. So I haven't fixed it or anything, so it is just loose in there, but it'll give us an idea of where everything's going to go. So I want to have that on that side. Oh, nice. I want to be able to see the doodles down the edge there. And then let's see, we've got the largest flower be in there. Good position for it there. And then this one is, oh, it's slightly wide. Oh, I'm glad I tested that. Okay, so for this one, this part is slightly too wide to fit in there, so I need it to come in a bit closer. So I'm going to gently peel that off. If you haven't got that luxury of glue that will let you do that, then you might need to trim it down and then just re-glue the bits together. So let's get this slightly more upright, like that, and I'll just trim off the base. There. Just add the flower in. That's my son home. I was in a work call, I'd mute it and then holler back at him, but hopefully he'll remember that I'm live. And then that one goes along the bottom there. So you can play around with different layouts, different structures. That's absolutely fine. I'm going to keep it this way around, so I know. So if you want to avoid the stem line, usually I just turn that over so that's visible. But if you turn it over to the next rotation, then you can get to there. And right, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue the back of the leaves in place. So I'm going to remove the flowers and try not to move things too much. And then take this out and then add glue to the back. Wow, space. Add glue to the back of here. I'm going to use the wet glue because I want this to be stuck down very well. Add glue to the back of there. Stick that down there. So this is the one I pulled apart, isn't it? So I'm just going to put a little bit more glue where I took that old glue out. Place that in position in there. So it works quite well doing it with the frame, because then you've got the edge of the frame there. I think I'll take it out to do the rest. I might not. Right. And then this one. I've got a glue bubble. This one's going to go flat. And then I can either. Yep. So now I'm going to put this one down. So I'll take the backing off of this one. Peel off the. So it's handy having the nails. Oh, not playing ball. And one more. And I'm going to add that on so that I can get the right position. It's going to go underneath that leaf and get just a smidge of the doodles appearing on that side. And then I'm going to pop it out of the frame. And finish up in there. Oops. Got to remember that the block inside is loose. Sorry about the crash bang. So now let's have a look at attaching these. So the beauty of these tulips is that you can place a nice big foam pad on the side of the flower to hold it in place, and then we'll stick down underneath here as well. So let's open these up, put some foam pads in the base of these. So that one might not be long enough. Oh, a bit longer. And so I think this one is slightly too long. So I'm going to trim that down. There. I think that one's okay. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to peel off a bit of foam tape. Decide which way around I want this one to sit. I think there. So I'm going to put the foam pad. I'm going to trim them a little bit smaller so they're not showing. And so just on the side of there. Stick the base. Oop, stuck to my finger more than stick that onto there. Now what we want to do is glue these around, which needs to be a nice strong glue, and I think that's as well. I would really like to have those little pegs to hold these down. I can't see one on my craft table anywhere. So let's glue this one down first. Start with that one. Okay, time's on our side. Okay, I'm going to leave the scissors on there just to give it a little bit of weight. Very little bit of weight. Hold that down, then I can move on to these ones. So let me work out which way around this one wants to go. I think naturally there's quite nice. Yeah, on that side. I think I can put a full one. So put the full one on there. And I'm just going to peel off the backing of this one in the middle. So I've got 2 in this one, so I think that will help with the leaves sticking down, because obviously they can stick to the foam pad as well as the stem. Just got glued. And then I'll take the backing off this one. And then look at where you want the position of it to be. Push down. So that's another point. You can flatten the stems as well. That will help with the sticking. Yeah, flatten the stems down. Actually, so in that case, I'm actually going to put the foam pad on top of this one. I'm actually going to mirror what's there already, either side, because then the foam pads will stick to the foam pads, and that will be really strong. I'll peel that off. Come on. There we go, and then fold in this side first. And then that side, I'm going to, should we do it with a foam pad? Or just glue? I think I'll do it with a little bit of foam pad. Add a little bit of glue. Just let that cure for a bit. And then we can work on this one. So again, I think this one I'm going to put a foam pad under here. It's quite nice because it kind of keeps that curve over the foam there. To fold that one over. So the wet glue hasn't dried yet, but the foam pad is holding it in place. Let's move on to this one. Make sure the seams at the back. Work out what the best side is for that to go on. I think that one. So I'm going to put a foam pad on there. I need to cut one down to size. Okay, and then just take off the backing. Both of these. And then, see if I'm going that way, then I want to flatten it a bit there as well. So you can use your finger inside the flower here. You can get real good traction to actually push that down. And then curve these ones over. Oh, that one's already stuck down on there. It's keen. Let's add some more there. forward for a foam pad. And just make sure it's tucked down like that. And then some glue as well, just to I'm just going to wait a little while for that to cure before I attempt that one. Maybe tidy up a little bit. Got a little bit messy. Right. Bring this back in. So when you're putting it back on the board, remember to check you've got the thingy up at the top. I think that's ready to stick down now. So obviously the foam pad will hold it in place initially, and then you just want to hold that wet glue just for a second or two. I'd like to put a bit of pressure on there, I think, so I don't think that. Actually, I think the glue's. Just going to add a little more. It'll be a bit of trial and error, this one. So if you find bits pop up, you can always experiment with different glues, different strengths. Oh, that's a nice little close-up of the tulips, isn't it? Let me hold that down. So I think this will probably do a little weight on it, but we haven't got time for that. So I might prepare that bit later. So let's add that to the backboard. Make sure on there. So you don't have to stick it onto the backboard because the frame will hold it in place. You can if you want to, but it leaves you the freedom of switching it up and changing it into other things later on. Let's add this into the frame. Just going to gently push. It's a lot nice doing this without any glass in it, any risks. So you can pull that in, and then on the other side, just push these down. And where it hasn't got the glass in the frame, there's a little bit of give. So if you wanted to, you could pad behind the back with a few sheets of card. But I'm personally quite happy to have it just a little bit loose. And there we have it. There is our tulip frame. And I think those tulip leaves have gone better than my original ones, I think. A little bit of trial and error, but it's a lot of fun to make. So I would love to see if you've had a go at making these tulip flowers in a bunch or on a card or in a box frame like this. Do share your creations with me. You can either send your photos to me via email. I'm at della@dellabydesign.co.uk. Or you can find me on Instagram or Facebook. Just search Della by Design, and I should pop up. I do connect. And if you're interested in the doodle course, you can head to my website, which is www.dellabydesign.co.uk, and you'll find it on there to sign up. So that was been a lot of fun. Thank you for crafting with me. If you want to jump onto my Facebook page or Instagram, you can find out all about all the different offers on this weekend in this little craft along celebration. And there's a chance to win a DIY kit to make this frame. Everything's all pre-cut for you. You can have a doodle background already done and including the frame as well. So if you want to have a chance of winning that, just head over to my social pages and find the Win Me post. That would be fab. Wonderful. Thank you ever so much for joining me today. If you're watching this in the future or live, make sure you hit subscribe for more crafty workshops in the future. I've got another craft along booked in May, but I'm sure I'll be jumping on with some more top tips and designs before then. So have a wonderful rest of day and the weekend. And I have got 8 minutes to pick up my son, and the school's about 5 minutes away. So we are spot on. Thank you very much. And I will see you all soon. Happy crafting. Bye bye.